little uncomfortable if you're too comfortable with yourself. My subject today is, it is only when you wake up to who you are, it is then and only then will you understand who you're supposed to be. I've got to say that again. It is only when you wake up to who you are, it is then and only then will you understand who you are supposed to be. You see, our community is a collective community that is sacrificing for the embellishment of those who are not only around you, but those to whom have yet to be born. You see, our families are suffering. Our communities are in peril. Many of you stand as the first and last chance at education and a life other than substandard living and mediocrity for your children's children. So that means you have a responsibility of standing on the courage of your forefathers and your foremothers who have sacrificed for you, even though you were not born yet. And you see, I want to spark into your consciousness to face your fears. When the injustice of poor self-esteem and poor self-worth rears its ugly head in your head. You see, today I want to tap into your cognitive consciousness, cognitive dissonance when it comes to fighting and sacrificing for those who are other than yourself. You see, I want you to listen to the sound of my voice because my subject deals with your false narratives of limitations and prohibitions of who you put upon yourself. You see, your false perceptions of who you are and what you think you are categorically false. And they have been placed there by the false gods of stereotypes and the idol worshipers of impossibilities. Oh, I'm going to say that again because I don't want you to miss that. You see, your false perceptions of who you are and who you think you cannot be are categorically false, and they have been placed there by the false gods of stereotypes and idol worshipers of impossibilities. And before you think I'm just talking some rap and want some applause and want people to pat me on the back, I left that school in the back of a police car with handcuffs being denigrated because I believed in those gods of stereotypes. I believed in the false narratives that my destiny was to be in the back of that police car. I believed that my future was that. I'll come back to that later. The scripture says no weapon formed against the righteous shall prosper. No, don't stop there. It didn't say the weapons wouldn't be formed. It said when the weapons are formed, they will not prevail against the righteous. That means you have to have a relationship with God, an intimate relationship with God, because racism is a weapon. Discrimination is a weapon. Prejudice is a weapon. Misogyny is a weapon. Sexism is a weapon. Stereotype is a weapon. Fear is a weapon. See, that means you have to put on the full armor of God and fight and not just talk about fighting. We have to fight not only spiritually, but we have to present our minds and bodies as a living sacrifice holy unto God. That means you have to have a strong attitude. You can't have a weak attitude, a weak constitution, and a weak mind where your destiny is concerned. You see, God's chosen people are those people who choose God. Let me pause there for a moment and say that again. You see, God's chosen people are those people who choose God. Now, let me introduce you to yourself. Who are you? And what is your obligation? Who have you been historically? And who are you destined to be? You see, you are so strong that you survived the likes of slavery, where you work from can't see morning to can't see night for no pay. You are so strong that you survived the denigration, degradation, and dehumanization of Jim Crow. You are so strong that you survived the isolation of segregation, where you thought that they thought that you were 3/5 of a human being and not fit for collaboration, cohabitation, or consideration in the human family. But you are so strong that you survived sitting in the back of the bus, sitting on balconies at the movies, drinking from different water fountains, and every moment of your life feeling like you were carrying a mountain just to survive. You are so strong that you survived the stereotypical names that were given to you to denote that you were lazy, dumb, trifling, a boy, or a girl, but you kept your head up and adopted the name as a badge of honor to let your detractors know no weapon formed against the righteous will prosper. You will not and cannot stop my rise. You are so strong that somehow receiving a second-class education in separate schools with 4th edition textbooks with all the limitations on your future, you still rose to the highest ladder of academic excellence, where now in 2018 and 2019, by ethnicity, you have the largest number of PhDs in the world. You are so strong that even in the United States military, we were told that you could never have the intellectual capacity to fly something as technical as an airplane. They were told they had severe psychological and mental and moral limitations. But despite the racism in that day, despite the prejudice in that day, the Tuskegee Airmen flew 1,578 combat missions, earned 14 Bronze Stars, 744 Air Medals, and 8 Purple Hearts. You are so strong that the all-Black Ranger Regiment, they told them they weren't smart enough. It's too mentally demanding. These positions are for the elites. You are not good enough. Despite the racism in that day, they earned 100 Purple Hearts, 9 Silver Stars, 4 campaign streamers. They said, what other people think about me ain't none of my business. You are so strong. Now I'm coming to you. What is your responsibility, my dear family? Why do you sit there in your excrement thinking that you can't achieve? What right do you have to think that you cannot become? What right do you have to take the essence, the sacrifice, the blood and the tears of your forefathers and foremothers and squander your time in disbelief and poor self-esteem? You are so strong. You are the beacon of life for our children's children. You don't have the right to be nonchalant about your educational opportunities. You don't have the right to be substandard and mediocre. You don't have a right because that historically Black college is set up for you. Without that college, many of you, and I know it for a fact, even myself couldn't even get in college. What right do you have to squander that opportunity and sentence your children's children to mediocrity? What right do you have to worry about your own pain? Your pain should not be carried on your children's children. No weapon formed against the righteous shall prosper. We are overcomers. We are strong. It is in our DNA. You will never understand who you are and who you're supposed to be until you get in touch with who you are. And then you'll know who you're supposed to be. I cry every time my bio is read. Because it was only until I understood who I was, I then knew what my responsibility was to be. I've been in school for 25 straight years. Not to pat myself on the back, but to show the young kids who we are and who we're supposed to be. You see, until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. Until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change.